Welcome into episode 11 of MEC Roundup, a podcast brought to you by the Mountain East Conference. And today we're going to be talking with two different coaches, one being from the women's side, which we'll start in, and then later on we'll be joined by Tim Koenig from Fairmont State as well. But let's start right here, and let's recognize an individual that won his 300th game as the Concord women's head basketball coach, Coach Kenny Osborne. Coach, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you for having me here today.
Now, I have to ask, has it felt like did it feel like the 300th win, or did it feel like the first win for you?
It kind of felt like the 300th win. It happened on Monday there against Salem. We had a pretty good lead. And, I just kind of think back when I found out I had the job, got the job. And, a lot of things went through my mind that last minute or so. But, it's been a long time coming. It just means, Concord's had a lot of faith in me over time to, give me the job. We've had good years, okay years, and bad years. But they've stuck with me, and I've stuck with them. And it's been a good relationship so far.
This is your 23rd season as the Mountain Lions head coach. And, looking back, I always like asking veteran head coaches this question. How do you think college basketball has changed since the first time you stepped on the sidelines for Concord to now?
Well, I think the players are way more athletic. I think the skill level is better. And I think that just comes because now kids today play basically year round compared to when I got into it all those years ago. Even started with the men at Glenville in '89, it was more, especially in West Virginia, we've had a lot of West Virginia kids where the kids would play, a fall sport, a winter sport, and a spring sport, and they didn't do much in the summer. I think now it's just kind of almost, even if they do other sports, it's year round. And I think the skill level and the athletic ability is just a lot better.
Looking at the group of girls you have on this year's team, you guys are 14-7 this season, 8-6 in conference. You guys picked up a win not so long ago as well, which was your 300th win. But when you look at this group of girls this season, what makes them so competitive, and what continues to amaze you about their willingness to succeed almost?
Well, I think, we've done the kids have done a great job buying in, and along with my assistant Tessa Southcott, buying into a family situation. If you look at the box scores, we beat Notre Dame last Wednesday. Then we go to AB Saturday without three starters and our top post up due to COVID issues that popped on Thursday and Friday. And Riley Fitzwater being one, Riley Grace Robinson, our point guard, Maggie Gwynn, Alexis Phillips. And so we go up there and compete and beat Salem without them. And I think they've just bought into a family type of atmosphere where they help each other out. They buy in. I know that may sound cliche, but I really believe it's more like a family thing. And I really believe after we came back from the Hawaii trip, that did so much for our bonding and building out there right before Christmas.
How do you go about building a family culture? Does that come with time, or is there a secret recipe that you incorporate whenever you have a different team every year?
I think it's a different team. You got to find out their likes and that type of thing. Again, my assistant Tessa Southcott, she's young, and again, I'm old and over the hill, and things that we did back in the '80s as a student assistant at Glenville don't work now. But she's brought in. We do a lot of team bonding, building at the beginning of the year, and one of the things we did at the beginning of the year is a fun day. I'm tight as bark on a tree when it comes to money, but we'll do the old-fashioned egg toss and water balloon fights. And we start the year off with a water gun fight, and I get them a 99-cent squirt gun, and I buy me a super soaker. But we do some stuff like that. Cookouts at the house. Just get to know the kids, know them off the floor. It's I think that has a lot to do with it. Get to know brothers, sisters, family. That type of thing. And I think that's worked out well for us about the last 4 or 5 years.
Looking at your time at Concord, you've coached 23 seasons with the Mountain Lions. Looking at it, you've already mentioned your staff, you've mentioned your team, but collectively, how supportive has Concord continued to be towards the women's basketball program as long as you've been there?
I think very supportive. And, of course, I'm also the associate athletic director. But, I go back to the 2011-12 season. We won 22, 23 games, had a great year. Next year, we were about 500. Then we were about 3-4 years. We were not very good. 5 wins, 7 wins. And nobody said a word about you need to win more games, you need to do that. And then, stumbling to Madison May, 4 miles from campus, Riley Fitzwater, Then all of a sudden now we're back, 123, 22. And so I just think that, very supportive. And it's kind of like a family atmosphere in our athletic department. Kevin Garrett, the athletic director, has been there longer than I have. We work very well together. We've seen a lot of, personal hardships throughout the time when, I lost my first wife, remarried again. He lost his father. We've had other staff members lose family members, and, we're taking dinner. So I think it starts within our athletic department with our coaching staff, whether it's full-time, part-time, head coach, assistant coaches. I just think that goes back to, what Don Christie started saying way back when, and Kevin inherited it, and we've just taken it to another level.
Let's talk about a few of these players, and we'll start with Riley Fitzwater, who's averaging a double-double this season. She's averaging 16 points, 12 rebounds. When you look at how she's grown each and every season since the time she stepped on the Concords campus to now, what do you think that's been?
Well, I think, her work ethic has gotten better. I know there are a lot of question marks about her coming out of Gilmer County. But, I think her work ethic's gotten better. She spent a couple summers in the Athens, Princeton area. She's worked one summer at Pipes Den, which she could get in the gym. She worked one summer with the old Princeton Devil Rays, minor league baseball. And so that way she got time in the gym, got time in the weight room, and, just developed her skills. And, again, I think she's been one of the factors why when we got her, she helped turn our program around there about 5 years ago.
Another person I want to talk about is somebody that has actually been on this program. That's Maggie Gwynn. When you look at her, she just continues to pour in numbers in the stat sheet. She's averaging 11 points per game this season, shooting right around 75% from the free throw line. But, when you look at her game, how different, or if anything, how is she similar to former players that you've coached?
Well, I think, Maggie has a scorer's mentality. And, she's compared to some other kids we've had in the past, but she's, a scorer's mentality. She shoots the ball very well. And she's also a very team-oriented person. And, she's a great kid, and she's always teased, our joke about our kids, from Gilmer County. And she's from big city of Pearisburg, Virginia, which actually went to Nair's High School, 20 minutes away. And, but again, she's just a scorer and a scorer's mentality. And, she's got the free reign to shoot it anytime she feels like she's got a shot.
I want to go to something that I don't think a lot of people know about you, Coach. That is, prior to getting into the collegiate ranks, you actually served as the head coach at Gilmer County High School from 1996 to 1997, won 20 games, first time in school history. Then you guys go on to compete in the Class AA state tournament. Looking at from the beginning, what was that experience like for you, being able to, coach those young group of girls?
Well, it was actually, I'd been the men's assistant at Glenville for a while, and there's a contract screw up, but I won't get into that. But, I got a chance to coach Gilmer that year. We had an all-state player. Actually, Gilmer was a Class A school, and that's when they let you just bump up in one particular sport. The boys made the semifinals in Class A that year, and we played Double A. But, had the opportunity to win 20. Had a great player in Kelly Osborne, no relation. She won the Glenville State and is a Hall of Fame member there. Had another kid, Tiffany Smith, went to AB and played a couple years, so she got in the radiology program. Had great kids. Of course, a lot knew most of the parents. But it was just a great honor to go back to your alma mater and coach a team and go to, first time 120 and, made the state tournament. And it was a lot of fun. That was one of the funnest years I've ever had coaching that group way back when at Gilmer County High School.
When you look at the high school ranks nowadays, I mean, obviously, the complexity of collegiate basketball changes daily. It seems like with everything going on at the Division I ranks, and then also recruiting as well can change as well. But in your eyes, how do you think recruiting has changed since you first stepped into the collegiate ranks?
Well, I think, back then you would get in on kids now, seniors right now, 1st of February. Maybe try to see them play once during the season, state tournament in West Virginia. If not, then you bring them in and work them out. Now, basically, June 15th of the junior year, going into their junior year, you're going to start to make calls. Recruiting is now a 2-year process, where, again, it used to be about a 3-month ordeal. Sometimes we'll get on kids late, but I think that's the biggest thing. Recruiting has changed. And now you got to, make the summer tournaments, evaluations there, where it used to be, we used to go to the Beckley Summer League. That was our summer recruiting. Now it's, 4 or 5 days in Louisville, 4 or 5 days in Indy, maybe 3 or 4 days in Greensboro. Most of our July shot. And I think that's how the recruiting has changed on our level. It mimics the D1, basically what it does.
Let's get back to this year's team because, again, the years are 14-7, 8-6 in conference. But the one thing I think stands out the most to me is you guys are 8-2 at home. So my question to you is, Coach, what's it been like for you all just to be able to play in front of a home environment yet again? Because last year you weren't able to play in front of fans, and obviously towards the end of the season before, COVID pretty much hit. But now you're starting to see fans get back into stadiums and arenas as well. What do you think that's been like for your girls?
Well, they just enjoy having their families there. Like I said, our top 8 or 9 are probably within an hour, an hour and a half. Fitzwater's 2.5. So a lot of the parents are there every night. And, to see that, I know last year, my assistant, we had to have everything had to be separated. And she found a picture like on social media, like of the kids' parents or whatever, and put in that little caddy that we keep their water bottle in town. So their pictures will always be there with them. But I know, they were excited to get fans back. They were excited to have fans at the MEC tournament last year. And, I think that helped so much at home. With all these local kids, Saturday afternoon games, we'll have a big crowd. But all of a sudden you look over about 4:15, 4:30, and all that opposite side is pretty well bare because, the parents are talking their kids into, let's go to Princeton to eat, out back, get some free stuff at Walmart like college kids do. And, but again, I think it's nice and to be the family to be able to see them play.
You mentioned the MEC tournament, and that's almost, well, it is pretty much right around the corner. Looking at your team, what do you think it needs? What do you think needs to happen for you all to, one, continue to gain momentum following Monday's win, but also what do you think needs to happen for you all to get a higher seed in the MEC tournament?
Well, I think one, we got to get healthy, stay healthy. Hopefully we'll have everybody back Saturday. No one else gets it. No one else gets injuries. Get some, you just get wins. And, we still have people above us. We still have Fairmont coming to town. We got to go to West Virginia State. We've already beaten them once. We got West Liberty coming to town, and we beat them earlier at West Lib. So we got people above us that, we need to go just win. As simple as that, to improve our seeding and get momentum heading into tournament play.
A couple more. And, you've obviously been a part of a program that has been around the MEC since the beginning. But when you look at how this conference has changed over time, what do you think that would be almost?
Well, again, I grew up watching the West Virginia Conference, growing up in Glenville. You didn't have 700 games a night on ESPN and 2 and all the families. And, the social event was to go to Glenville games, go to the conference tournament. But, I think what the MEC has done, it's put an emphasis on a level playing ground, making everybody pick up their game in all sports. Not only the basketball, but, you look at on the men's side, you got West Liberty, you got Fairmont, you got Charleston, and West Virginia State's hot as can be. And then on the women's side, you got Glenville's on their run. West Liberty's been pretty good. We've been good. Notre Dame's been good. So, and in football, Notre Dame, Charleston, Frostburg. So I just think it's made all sports across the board a lot better. And instead of just, a school picking one sport and going with it, I think, again, it's made all sports across the board a lot better.
And then lastly, looking at yourself, what do you think the biggest thing that you've learned from your girls, what the biggest thing that you've learned from your girls would be? Because, you teach them a lot, but there's also going to be a point where you may learn something as well. What do you think that's been this year?
Well, I think patience. And I think one of the things that I've learned the hard way is it's still a game. We went to AB down 4 starters, played as hard as we could, lost by 13. And I think what they did is they taught that it's a game. You go compete as hard as you can. And once it's over, get you a bottle of Diet Coke, catch your breath, say what we need to work on, and move on. And, I think, that helped so much, me not beating a dead horse Saturday, come in Sunday, did a couple things and played very well on Monday. But I just think the patience, and it's still a game. It's still got to be fun. And it's not the end of the world if you lose. And we're not going to go crazy. And, if we win a game, we're not going to, shut school down for a day and party. We're just going to move on. The sun's going to come up, or it's going to snow, it's going to rain. And you just got to keep things in perspective. And I think that's a great thing about coaching women's basketball throughout time. After losing my first wife, the kids who I had in the program then worked with me. When I remarried, worked with me. And, right now, my daughter, Pop told me the other day, she's thinking about getting married in September. And all the girls were, when you coach women, they're excited about that. When you coach guys, it's like, who cares? My assistant's got a baby. It's just going to turn a year old here next week or so. And she FaceTimed her this morning, and all the players wanted to get in it. They keep things in perspective. And I really appreciate that.
Well, Coach, thank you for your time. Thank you for shining some light on your pretty much historic career at Concord. So I'm very much appreciative of your time. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much.
That was Coach Kenny Osborne from Concord. Up next, we'll be joined by Coach Tim Koenig from Fairmont State up next here on MEC Roundup. Welcome back into episode 11 of MEC Roundup. We just spoke with Kenny Osborne, the head basketball coach of the women's team down at Concord University. Now let's go to the men's side. We're pleased to be joined by Fairmont State's very own Coach Tim Koenig. Coach, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Taylor. Thanks for having me.
So, Coach, I'll start with a very generic question. You guys are 20 games in, 17-3 this season. Where do you feel like your team is at right now?
It's a good generic question. That's a very open-ended one. I think our guys, we had a lot of injuries early in the year. Shemek, going down, the Miles Monroe going down, a couple of young guys, decided to redshirt. So now I just kind of had to change our way. So we've adapted. And sometimes we adapt our styles, even game to game. That's kind of who we are. We've got our basic structure, but sometimes we press more than others. Sometimes, we play a little bit more zone than others. So I think our team now 20 games in is able to adjust and adapt according to just kind of what makes sense. I think that's kind of who we are.
Are you pleased with where you're at 20 games in despite the injuries?
Oh, yeah, I'm proud of these guys. They're stepping up, playing hard, playing together. Obviously you want to try to get a little better, but everybody's trying to get a little better. But pleased with where we are right now, and just really just proud of our guys' attitudes. The attitudes, our approach, is trying to focus in on the task at hand, and then just the togetherness. Our guys are really, really together, really close group, and everybody listening. You need it. Everybody that has been a part of any team or even their job, any organization, you need a level of cohesion and togetherness, and our guys really have that.
You mentioned Shimmick's injury. He went down against West Virginia Wesleyan and has yet to play since. Did you think you'd have to switch anything up personnel wise, or was it just continuing to do what you guys would do minus Shimmick?
Yeah, we kind of changed a little bit, adjusted our offense a little bit. Even when we say in different lineups, we may call different things when our starting lineups in versus when we go to our bench, which is okay. We've like I told you before, we've adapted. That's something that I'm really proud of our coaching staff. You guys are doing a really good job with that. The players are bought into almost like a football game, where they have little different personnel groups, on offense and defense. That's kind of how we're playing. And, with exceptions, of course, but really proud of the way that they responded with that. And, when you lose anybody, you make an adjustment, but the guys that have stepped up have done a hell of a job. So really proud of our group. Not just him, but then Miles as well, Miles Monroe.
You guys are 11-0 at home this season, the only team in the MEC that has an undefeated record at home. Talk about being able to be in front of fans again. I know you guys have had some situations, earlier this year, meaning in 2022, but with no fans being allowed in, but now you guys are getting to have fans back in. You guys had fans the other night against Glenville State. What's that been like for you, just being able to have a home court advantage again?
It's absolutely great. The town is fired up. They're excited. Before all this, we got every elementary school and within the 15-minute radius, middle schools. We try to bring everybody in. Schools one per game, but no, the town's been great. Students have been really good. Since we've allowed people back in the last couple games, we're just fortunate. Just very fortunate that people care and that people have that much enthusiasm about us, and very thankful for it. It's been great. They've helped us a ton. I know from the other side, when you're the visiting team, it's not that easy when the place is rocking. And I'm sure you saw that last night.
Looking at you guys' schedule, you guys have a schedule that's comprised of 3 teams that are 5 through 7 in the MEC, including your next game against number 6, Concord, 6th in the MEC standings, second longest win streak in the MEC as well, with 4 games, right behind West Liberty with 5. But looking at this 3-game stretch, these 3 teams are pretty much all biting at the top, trying to claw their way to the top as well. But looking at this 3-game stretch, how important is it to get through this 3-game stretch 3-0?
Yeah, when I've learned from my time, just being a head coach, and learned when I was a little younger, I probably would have looked at it that way and looked at a 3-game stretch. I swear, like we try to play 1-game playoffs. We don't, the league's so good, you really have to. And this isn't like coach talk where, 1 game at a time stuff. Like we just try to lock in what's in front of us. Concord's really good. We got to play. Especially you talk about home court advantage. Playing at Concord is not very easy. It's tough. Weir's leading the way there, playing absolutely great. But they have a good inside-outside approach and attack, and there's just contrasting styles. We just got off of Glenville. They're going to press and they're going to run up and down and bomb a bunch of threes. Concord's a little bit more half-court oriented. They'll run on you. Don't get me wrong, but they're not going to press like Glenville presses, but really execute multiple sets. In the half court. So just playing against those different styles, you really can't look ahead. It's not like everybody's doing the same stuff and playing the same way. You know what I mean?
I do, and that pretty much leads me to my next question, and that is, your guys' defense is one of the top teams in the MEC in regards to defense, in regards to holding teams to a certain point, averaging 77 points a game, which is second right behind Charleston, who's averaging 74. But looking at your defense this year, what do you like about this year's defense?
We are, again, you watched it live last night. Glenville was making shots. Our defense didn't look great all the time. But we know the league's good. We know these teams are really good. We know that we're not going to pitch any shutouts by any stretch. Just want to play really hard, want to try to do what makes sense. If guys can really drive, and we'd like to keep them out of the paint. And if guys really shoot, we'd like them to, put the ball on the deck and not get catch and shoot. So just try to do our best to take away the first option. And again, every game's different when it comes to that, not just from a personnel standpoint, but from what the team is trying to get accomplished. So I say that, and easier said than done. There's a lot of different options. You can't take everything away, and guys are really good. I like the fact that guys are just playing really hard, doing what makes sense. And this is the biggest thing, things aren't going to always go our way, as you saw. I mean, whether it's last night, whether it's going to be on this Saturday game against Concord, like they're good. They're going to make shots. They're going to play well. Our guys are doing better at not hanging their head or not getting frustrated if things don't go our way. We're moving on to the next play really well. And that's, again, a testament to our attitude and our approach. Hey, we do the best we can. Defense, we're just we're just trying to make it tough on guys. That's all. And by no stretch does that mean we're going to shut anybody out. Glenville's put a lot on us last night. They scored a lot of points.
Let's talk some players, and obviously we got to start at the top with Isaiah Sanders. Averaging right around 22 points a game this season. He's leading you guys in steals with 35 steals this season. But looking at his game, where do you think he's made the biggest leap from last year to this year?
Decision making. He he was a scorer. He's a finisher. I mean, he still scores the ball for us, but his assist to turnover ratio is way better. He's we're putting more on him from a decision-making standpoint on the offensive end. Back his freshman year when we back at Notre Dame, we never called any plays for him. We just told him to cut, play hard and cut, and they'll double Will Voorhees enough where you should be able to get something at the basket. Where he's evolved and changed his game, he's obviously more skilled and can shoot way better, significantly better. But just decision making, understanding shot selection, good shot, bad shot, taking care of the ball, just doing what makes sense, and then not taking as many plays off on defense. When he was younger, if something didn't go well on offense, he sometimes took a play or two off on defense, and really is a leader for us from that standpoint. He brings it every night. I mean, he really brings it every night, which that just permeates throughout the team, and is so helpful as a coach. These guys are gonna give it everything they got.
So another guy I want to talk about is another one of your leaders. That's Cole von Handorff. Looking at what he's done this season, pretty much since the beginning of this calendar year, he's just on fire. I mean, he's had 5 20-point performances, including Wednesday evening against Glenville State. It looks like he's hitting his stride at the right time to finish his final season with you all. Talk about how important it was for you all to, one, get him back this season, and two, just get a guy like him back that's always going to be around, very gritty as well, can shoot the ball as well. What's that been like for you to have a guy like Cole back?
It's a blessing. If we can just, keep adding years and we'll keeping Cole here as long as possible, we'll take it. 3-year captain. He's a great guy, just absolute great guy, and can really play. And he puts up numbers on offense, and I know they're really good. He shoots it, all that good stuff. We have the guy guard the other team's best perimeter guy every night, and he gets that assignment, and it's not easy. It's not easy to do what we ask him, and we're just, hey, like I said, you want to give him another COVID year, let's bring him back another year. You know what I mean?
I want to talk about a guy that I don't think gets a lot of recognition. No, like nothing rude on him at all, but Seth Jonkin, he's a guy that's just so fun to watch at how physical that he is down low. He goes after the ball like it's his last, like it's the last time going up, quite frankly. I mean, he's just so fun to watch down low. Having a guy like him in a league that is pretty much guard driven, how important is it for him just to have him on the court at all times? I mean, he's averaging right around 32, 33 minutes a game. So what's that been like for you to have somebody like him?
Well, yeah, I mean, from anchoring our defense, altering shots at the rim, rebounding the basketball, both he and Kyle Whippet. So Kyle is the other guy that does that. You talked about, how great perimeter play is in this league. Having some length and some size at the back end of it, and being able to protect the paint and protect the rim is so important. Those two guys have done really well. And obviously Seth is the veteran that's been there and done it year in and year out. Kyle's doing a really good job for us as well. He rebounds the ball, that ignites our break. It's hard to fast break when you're taking it out of the net all the time. So when he can clean the glass and rebound, we can get out and run. It allows guards to be more aggressive and pressure the ball. He's at the rim, altering shots. And then obviously on offense, the guy does not care about stats. He doesn't care who gets the credit. What a teammate he is. Again, another captain, just what a teammate. Sets screens. There's games where he may play those 32, 33 minutes, like you said, and shoot the ball like twice, and he's got the biggest smile on his face, if we win the game, so the guy just rebounds, sprints, set picks, and then sometimes he may put up 15 to 17 points, so just again, the unselfishness with him is it's such a factor. I have to bring that up because he's not talked about a ton, and he's okay with that. Almost like an offensive lineman in the NFL. He almost embraces that. But I will say, he looks at those rebound numbers. He wants his rebounds.
That's always fun to watch, isn't it? That's good.
Yeah.
It's good. But looking at this freshman class, or even the group that you brought in, in regards to where they're at with this year's recruiting class that you brought in, whether it be from a transfer, grad transfer, freshman, give me a collective thought on where you think that group is so far this season.
The current one?
Yes.
Well, we're playing George Mangus. He's a freshman. Briggs Paris is new, but he's a grad transfer. So he graduated from Virginia Wise. Trying to think right now who's in the rotation that is. They got a little stat sheet by me just in case you fired some stats from yesterday. I was prepared. Okay.
I believe it.
Those are the two guys that get significant that play for us that are new. So Miles played a good amount early on in the year. And like we said, there's some guys redshirting, but Briggs has been absolutely great. A little learning curve for him early in the year, but really coming on strong and playing absolutely great, really shooting the ball. George, it's hard to come in as a true freshman and make a significant impact. He was more inconsistent earlier in the year. Again, he had a learning curve, a little bigger learning curve than Briggs, just because he's first time, doing it. And but he's a guy that was up for Mr. Basketball in the state of Ohio. He's a hell of a player, hell of a career in high school. Now in college, he's starting for us now, doing a really good job. It's something that starting for a team as a freshman is. Briggs obviously plays starters minutes. So we have two guys that we inserted that play starter minutes and are really helping us. So I'd say that's a pretty good class if you ask me.
Couldn't agree with you more. And I'll end on this note. You guys won the MEC conference tournament last year. Looking at where you're at this year, which we've already talked about, but what do you think needs to happen for you all to continue this positive stride that you guys are on right now, winning 2 straight, to ultimately be able to hoist another conference tournament again?
That's a good question. Locking in on the task at hand. That team was incredible. Had some ups and downs, but especially late in the year was incredible in just focusing on what's in front of their face and not looking too far ahead and not dwelling on the past. And that doesn't guarantee us anything. I mean, we know that we've had a couple setbacks. There's teams that are really good in this league. We're just thrilled that we're getting better, and from that mindset approach, we're getting better at really focusing in on what's in front of us. So we don't really talk about that because we feel like our best ball is when we're locked in. So I don't know. I don't want if you're going to put this online, I don't want these guys hearing that. So we really just really lock in on what's in front of us in Concord. And then the tournament, hopefully we can get lucky. That's really good. We'll take some luck. We'll take some, the ball just happens to fall in our hands, some of that luck, and then really being ultra focused. Because in a weekend like that, it's hard to win Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, it's just so hard. So, you really can't look at hoisting trophies. You gotta just get to the next day. Because if you can get the next day, life is good. So that, I know that's a bad answer, but my answer really is to just get even better at locking in on what's in front of us.
I think that's a great answer. I know I'm probably just saying that just to say it, but I think a lot of teams, whether it be collegiately or even at the prep level, can pretty much all say that. So, it's a good answer. Give yourself a little pat on the back on that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, I didn't want you to tell me there's coach talk, but that's what we tell our guys. So I'm not telling you anything new. Like there's no secrets. You just got in our team meeting, and our meetings don't go very long. They go a couple minutes before practice. That's about it, because they don't want to hear me talk too much. You know what I mean? Just let these guys play.
Well, Coach, thank you for your time. It was a pleasure speaking with you again, and best of luck the rest of the way this season. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for everything. Thanks for your coverage. You do a great job. And when are we seeing you next? We seeing you at a game, or is it conference tournament? What do we got?
I don't know. I gotta look at the schedule. It could happen. It could happen.
All right, we'll see you soon. Thanks, Taylor. Thanks so much.
Yep, absolutely, Coach. That will conclude episode 11 of MEC Roundup. I almost did it again. Of MEC Roundup, and with our two guests, Kenny Osborne from Concord and Tim Koenig from Fairmont State as well. You can follow me on Twitter at Taylor_Kennedy7 for all the latest about this podcast and other news regarding the MEC as well. Go on our website at mountaineast.org as well. And you can also find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube as well. Subscribe to us, rate, and review us as well. We'd love to hear from you. And with that being said, I'll catch you all next time on episode 12 of MEC Roundup. Thank you all for listening, and stay safe.